Dit programma wordt mede mogelijk gemaakt door het International Film Festival Rotterdam.
Welkom bij Big Talk van het International Film Festival Rotterdam. Rotterdam is 10 dagen lang de filmhoofdstad van de wereld. In het oude Luxor ontmoet Maarten van der Brink vanavond regisseur en winnaar van de Gouden Leeuw van het Filmfestival van Venetië, Gianfranco Rosi. Ze bespreken zijn documentaire Sacro GRA over het leven langs de ringweg rond Rome.
Posso lavorare domani, sì.
Domani penso che no, magari un po' di riposo, mica ti fa male.
Un po' di cose. Che cazzo mi devi soldi?
Vieni da me, i regali, i soldi.
Should we sit here? We sit here. Well, welcome. It's not your first time in Rotterdam. And you know, in these...
Hold on. Ask me to be exact.
Yeah, we need to be exact here for the cameras. Hello. I usually start this talk by saying, let's not, because the people haven't seen the film yet, let's not give away the story or the plot. But in this case, what a relief.
There's no plot.
There's no plot. And it's even more than just a film. It's also...
There's no beginning, there's no middle, there's no end.
And there is a book, and there is a website, and there's a photo series. Let us start at the beginning of the process of making this. What made you do this?
This is the worst question I always get for the.
Okay, so let's get it over with.
Can we keep this question as the last one?
As the last one?
Yeah. Why did I start the film? Last question.
Okay, how difficult was it to finish this film?
Very yeah, this I like to talk about.
Yeah.
Now. It was extremely complicated because, as you say exactly before, there's no beginning, middle, end. There's no story. So suddenly I had this material, I had these encounters, I have these moments that I was sharing for 3 years with the people. First there were people, and then they became characters of the film, because we don't have to forget that it's a documentary.
Yes, but I think first there was a territory, a road.
Yes, which is a pretext.
It's a pretext?
Yeah.
To meet people.
Well, it's a pretext.
But we're not giving away too much if we say this is the big ring around
the big ring, yeah, it's the
Rome.
biggest
it's 300
highway.
kilometers?
No, it's 67
okay.
kilometers around.
See, I'm trying to blow it up here. Make it bigger than it is. Big talk.
But the interesting news is like around this territory, which we can call it like in La Dolce Vita, La Via Veneto. Mm-hmm. The GRA can become the new Via Veneto of Rome, because 3 million people live around this GRA, which is
ring.
Grande Raccordo Anulare. Yeah, it's the ring. Ring road around Rome.
How does that translate? Ring road?
Grande Raccordo Anulare. It's like big. Raccordo is like when raccordo is like something that makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay. And
anulare is like circular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's sacred to you?
It's sacred to me as much as it's a mystery, and still I hold the mystery of the place. Because it's a place that I'm not from Rome. I've been asked to do this film, so we go to the question. And
you're disappointing me already. I mean, we were saving this.
No, I've been asked to do this film.
Okay.
I've been asked to do this film, which is for me was a huge disappointment, because nobody ever asked me to do a movie, to make a film. And when I had to say yes, I didn't know anything about this place.
So what made you say yes?
Sort of family relationship. I was coming out of a divorce, and my wife said, "You have to make this film and be in Rome with your daughter." So it was a very simple dictate.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I was ready to go back to the United States.
Any pretext is good enough to make a movie. Yeah. No, but
and for the first time,
something was
I was
fascinating.
paid to make a film, which is also important. You know, I was 44, 45 when I started the film. I've never been paid to make a movie, because I don't think people should be paid to make a film. But So for the first time, I had a little salary, something which was spread within 3 years' time.
And your daughter
And my daughter,
a
my
lot
thing.
of
So it was all
road.
very pathetic.
So what did you do? You started traveling the road?
I started traveling. First of all, I had to understand the place, and the hardest part about this process was to make this territory, which I didn't know, becoming part of myself. Because I cannot now. We try to be serious on this, but for me, it's important to start a film. Once a film, an idea at least, a very very small idea,
Sort of
belongs
kernel.
to me. Yeah, it's a very primordial element, which is usually, it didn't happen many times. It only happened 4 times in my life with Boatman, Below Sea Level, Sicario, and this film. So there's a very small idea that then I give a chance to be developed and eventually becoming a film. And for me, that's what is the big challenge, you know, like you start with a very, very tiny little thing, and then you embrace it and slowly become
So
something else.
what was the little thing here?
The
Can you
little
name
thing,
it?
I can never say what it is, but it's intuition. Is about something. I say, okay, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life doing this. When you start, I never put an ending on that, so I don't know. It's going
This
to be
is
1
why you
year,
don't get
2
paid.
years.
Okay, so
1 year, 2 years, whatever it is. You know, Sicario was 2 days shooting. Boatman was like 4 years shooting. Below Sea Level was 4 years shooting, and this film was like 2.5 years shooting.
Okay, so you were approached with the idea, can you make a documentary film about the ring road around
Yes.
Rome? And some work had already been done, I understand.
Yes, it was done by the person that asked me to do the film. He's an architect, he's an urbanist. He constructed a map around Rome, and he thought that it was worth it to make a film around that, and then I was asked to do it.
And you started
but
traveling
they
the
wrote
road.
already a script, which I didn't want to read. I said, I don't want to read the script, because if I read the script, it's going to be a different project. So he brought me for a few months around the GRA, and then slowly he let me go. And
First he
I
took you
started-
places,
Yeah,
various
to
places.
places which is a very strong map around Rome. It's a place that in the last 50 years, it grew without any kind of discipline, any kind of ideas, any kind of infrastructure, any kind of urbanist expansion of a city. So Rome is a capital, it's a huge city, but somehow, besides the 250,000 people that live in the center of Rome, the rest is left on its own. And once I realized all that, it was a huge task, because I cannot make a film like that. So once I had a map of the place and the idea of the place, I have to empty completely the place and have this place becoming something else, to transform to something else. And that was my
And how do you do that?
my
By
itinerary.
meeting people?
Meeting people, 2 characters of the film I met through I met like maybe 80, 50 people through the architect, Niccolò Bassetti. And he introduced many people, many stories, many things. But then at the end, I had to have this story become part of my encounters and part of my life, because I always said, like, if there's no an encounter with the place and then with the people that are in this place, for me, there's no film. And only when I know the people enough, I'm able to film it and know how to put the camera and tell the story. And the story I want to tell is always a very tiny little fragment of their life.
You know, I've heard about method acting, but this sounds like method directing. You really want to
Method
be
documentary directing.
documentary directing.
If you
yeah.
go to Flaherty, he probably did the same thing. When he
No,
had
but
like-
you really have to make this strong connection with your characters.
I have to.
And
yeah.
then what happens? I read somewhere that then the actual process of filming for you is almost painful.
It is. It's
Because at a
still
certain point
painful.
you have to take out the camera.
Well, at
and-
a certain point you have to make a choice of something. So I love when things are in your mind, and when are in your mind, you don't have responsibility, and it's floating, it's beautiful, and it's part of. It's like being on a square and talking to people, and at a point you say, I have to go back to do my homework. And so there's a moment when you have to do your homework.
But what about the people? Is it a sort of betrayal of the trust you build up?
No,
Once you start filming?
No, because at that moment we both know, because I work as a one-man crew.
No cameraman, no sound.
No sound. So at that point there's a relationship which is almost like this one, except that people watch.
Yeah.
So it becomes an intimate moment. And when that moment happened, that moment is a compression of many things that happened before and that happened in the present and that will happen later. So I like to just condense that in a fragment, in a moment.
How much time do you spend with people before you actually start filming them?
Well, for example, with the palmologist, who is a character that I love very much in the film.
A person who studies trees.
He studies his palm, which they've been attacked by the weevil. It's a huge disaster all around Europe, I believe, because I was now in places where I saw the palm being... In Naples, they find larvae, how you say larvae? I don't know in English.
Well, insects, weevils.
But it was huge. It was like a huge... they say that it was like horse crying. You know? So there's like a big problem, this. And
so how long do you connect with him?
2 years.
2 years?
2 years, but he was kind of my mentor on all this. And I was going there talking about anything, life, philosophy, history, things. And I never knew how to film him. Except one day he called me and he said, there's a disaster happening in my oasis that he built it after years. And I confronted him all day long, and when the sun was going down, I said I have to shoot because this is the moment I was to capture of him. And
but in fact, he called you to have him.
He called me, but then he called me as a witness of this. He didn't call me. I come and film.
Okay.
And that moment became his story of the film. It was his moment.
The audience will see something that struck me as quite particular. A few of the characters, you are very close to them, as you tell me, you have a relation, but they speak in sort of monologues. Once you start filming, you're gone, and it's as if they are
something here. Paolo,
well, they cannot see.
They will not see.
No,
but you can translate that to them. Paolo is the guy with the beard.
Bear with us for the moment.
And this is all the message I receive from Paolo almost every day.
Okay, this is about 70 kilometers of text messages.
So with all of them,
yeah.
I still have a relationship.
No, but it's a technical question. We see people in monologues. Do they sort of
not always
know
well.
that? Not always, but do they sort of expect? Or are they raising to your expectations? And now I'm going to give him something back for the connection we have made.
You know, I always say, when people say, are these people acting? This is always a question you get, right, for documentary. And I always say, of course, when there's a camera, when there's something, there is a difference, right? That's moment. But that moment is different from both, from me and from the person I'm filming, and becomes the perfect moment. And we both know.
But you're not interviewing?
No, never. No. My teacher, when I was at school, he used to tell me, don't ask questions to your character. You have 10 questions, you have 10 answers. You've been asking questions. And who cares, you know? You have 10 answers, 15 answers, 20 answers. It's not interesting. What you have to do, you have to come out with a little fragment of life. And that's what always struck me since when I was 21.
Okay, but this was in film school.
Film school.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
you know, you need teacher.
Because in high school you wouldn't get good grades with this.
No.
Okay.
But film school was a Russian teacher that I had, Boris Fruman. He said, don't ask questions. You ask questions, it's not interesting. You have to take a little piece of life from people, and then it's good filmmaking. So this...
You... They're enthusiastic already.
He used to say,
the film hasn't started.
He used to say, there's good movie, bad movie.
Yeah.
This is bad film. Sorry, out. Or there is good film, bad film. This is good film. Thank you so much. You make a good film. This was like his. This was my teacher, Boris Fruman.
Did you do?
And another thing he said, check, double check always.
Meaning?
Always check twice what you're doing. because we used to film with the film. Okay, so it's like, yeah, check, always check, double check.
Did you record a lot and then edit a lot, or
We,
are you quite sparse in... You do the editing
I-
yourself also, huh?
no,
No?
I work with my
You have
my fantastic editor,
somebody who tells you not good. Check,
Jacopo
check.
Quadri. It's the first film I started with him, and this is the fourth film I edit with him. But we have like a long-term relationship with love and hate. It's like I always tell him, I had two wives, I had like so many lovers in between. I still stick with the same editor. I want to change my editor, but I'm not able to.
I'm
do
not
that.
going further into that if you don't. If you sorry.
So,
I was
and he's the editor also Bertolucci.
well.
He edited the last.
You're in good
3-4
company.
films
Yeah.
of Bertolucci.
I wanted, after finishing the film, and it's a film you could have gone on for it forever and make
Every film you can
installments.
go on forever. No, I always say, you know,
People die eventually.
But people ask me, how much affected is a word to you? I say nothing, absolutely nothing, because for me, every film is my first and last film. And my dream would be to make a film that would start tomorrow and keep going till I'm dead, you know, and someone else would edit. I would love to do that. You know, this is my ultimate project.
Maybe we can transfer this to the idea of what a city is, because you got me thinking. You know, when we take a city trips, go to Rome, go to Madrid, go to Barcelona, New York, I always find myself sort of covering the same couple of square kilometers. And we tend to think of the city as the center, and then outside of the ring, there's limbo, there's no
Something
man's
else.
land there. But isn't it quite the other way around? Aren't all the centers sort of icons and
This is exactly what I believe, but I didn't know that before.
so this is what you learned making the film?
I learned making this film, and I learned, you know, right now there's two movies about Rome. One is a huge success, and I don't want to put myself close
La
to the
Bellezza.
film, La Grande Bellezza, and then there's this film. And
One is about the center,
One is about the center, and one is about the...
very artificial,
Well, whatever. It's about the...
in a good way.
Well, it's about an icon. It's about the stereotype. It's about what people think about the place. And the other one is like what people don't want to see about the place, including the Romans. And that's why, for me, it was important to break also the geography of the film. In fact, for me, it was important to transfer all this to a different planet. And the film starts say, the GRA surround the city of Rome as a ring of Saturn, which was a line that I stole from Fellini movie Roma, because when I wanted to write something about the film, I didn't know what to write anymore. That synthesized the film. And then I went back to watch the film of Fellini, Roma. There's the most magnificent scene about the GRA. So in the 50s, this was already there. And then there's this voiceover saying, grande raccordo anulare circonda la città di Roma con un anello di Saturno. I romani tengono... It's like a voiceover. I said, oh, this is fantastic. Anello di Saturno allowed me, but this was at the end of the movie. But somehow was and after that sentence, I took out the last like 1 week editing, all the quartier, how you say the...
Characters?
No,
The
quartieri.
And the different barrios?
The barrios, yeah, how you say it in English?
That was Spanish.
In English, eh?
Neighborhoods, districts.
Districts,
Yeah.
districts. I took all the images I had about it.
And you
I
made
took
just
them out.
one... Okay.
And then became,
you
so at that point, the circular thing became a line.
Okay.
And become like a line with
But
an imaginary map.
Geographically and mentally and
Became an
intellectually,
imaginary
you
map.
turned the city inside out.
No, I opened the...
Isn't that the message? Rome is not what's inside the Beltway,
Yeah.
but outside.
Yeah, like,
I have two more questions because we have to wrap this up and everybody's dying
unless
to see
people
the
prefer
film.
to go like 80 minutes like that without seeing the film.
Yeah, we also have some cameras here, and I'm going to get in terrible trouble. One is a technical one, just short. You do everything yourself, alone, but there's one shot that people will wonder. It's as if you had a crane. you have people living in a temporary building, and you film them through the window from high up above. What's the technical explanation for that? How was it done? Why weren't you in the room?
It's a physical thing, because in that moment I discovered that story that are in the film about this building. Someone told me about this building.
Where people live temporary, yeah.
It was an occupied building, and I went there. And I said, how far is this from the ground? And then the guy told me, you have to go to the roof. You can see the ground is just like 50 meters from here. And he took me to the roof. And while he was taking me to the roof, there was this like fire escape stairs. And I went there and I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms, 5 apartments, which were facing. And then I started asking myself, who is living here? So I completely fall in love with this frame. I immediately saw the frame there. And then I said, who is living here? And there were like 5 windows. And the same night, I went to knock to their doors. And I always say they opened their windows for me for years.
And you were outside and
I was outside. There's an incredible point of view, which is not straight. It's a perfect angle.
It's beautiful.
It's exactly a perfect angle. And then when I was at this angle, I filmed all these stories of these 5 windows. But these 5 windows is like one window. It's like one open
technical
thing.
riddle solved. Last question.
So it was not a crane. It was just like
but that's what you think.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful film documentary about being
It's a documentary.
being in transit.
We don't have to be afraid of this word
meeting
documentary,
people. You keep introducing it.
Yeah,
I can say film.
documentary.
Yeah, documentary.
It's important.
Documentary film. I was wondering, you
There's no lie.
you
There's no lie.
shared with us why you came to Rome to do it. Where are you living now yourself?
Well, I have a base in Rome right now, and I want to keep the base because my part of a family that I love is there, and
Inside or outside the ring?
very far away from the ring.
Okay.
I want to look somewhere else, like
Okay.
I don't know where, but really far away from there.
I'm sure your next project will be just as exciting. The people are dying here now to see the film. Thank you very much for
I
your
hope we don't
introduction and
disappoint
commentary.
after all this conversation. Thank you so much.
De nachtfilm van vanavond is True Noon, een absurd liefdesdrama uit Tajikistan van regisseur Nozir Saidov. Het gaat over een dorp dat van de een op de andere dag gescheiden wordt door prikkeldraad en landmijnen. En dan gaat het niet alleen om het postkantoor en een klaslokaal, maar ook een bruidspaar wordt van elkaar gescheiden.
Dit programma werd mede mogelijk gemaakt door het International Film Festival Rotterdam.